This is Riot's dressage test, and I have to say this horse is quite a pleasure to ride. It really is a treat because he is so rideable in the dressage ring, and he tends to, when he comes down the center line, he really puts on a big trot and elevates his shoulders. So I just have to work on keeping him kind of connected and make sure he doesn't get too big in his medium trot here, and make sure that I have the transitions back before K, which is quite nice because all you have to do is just sit up tall kind of through your seat and you're able to do it. Probably one of his weaknesses has been his lateral work. Those are getting better and better, and then actually right to left is his harder one, which that one was actually pretty decent. And he was backing off a little bit in the corner. He was trying to spook at the cameraman. So I just had to keep him a little bit focused. But and then for my left to right leg yield, you could see it was probably could be a little bit more consistent. And then we come into our stretch trot, which he does a pretty good job of stretching. He's maybe a tad behind the vertical than they would like. I'd like to see the nose a little bit more out, but I'll take what I can get. And then I'm able to pick up my reins and keep the same cadence in the trot. And so we're able to get some pretty good marks. The judge at B, I believe, was the one that gave me a 76%, and the judge at C gave me a 70%. So probably the judge at C could see my lateral work a little bit more than the judge that was over at B, because they have different angles that they're seeing things from. His walk is fairly decent. He's stretching and overstepping, which is what we like to see. Here, probably in my working / medium, he gets a little fussy in the connection, which I need to work on. But that's really the only thing in this test that he did where I felt like we lost some marks. Overall, he is super duper rideable. Came off the track maybe a touch right there. Came back after the medium canter. And he's really come a long way in his canter. His canter has been a bit of a weak point for him. But I've been really happy with how he's been doing in his work. And he stayed really nice and consistent. The canter didn't change when we were in the counter canter. And you'll see for the down transition, it's nice and light and on the hind end. And then I use my corner to bend through the rib cage. And then pick up the left lead canter. The left lead tends to be a little bit more expressive than the right lead. But that's just how some horses are. Some are left-handed, some are right-handed. And then we do our back to the track in the counter canter. And you really want to keep the canter the same. Sometimes in order to hold the canter, you tend to go a little slower, but he is being very good. Never felt like he was out of balance. Came down to the trot. And he's quite funny because he knows when to show off. So whenever he hits the center line, he always likes to do the big trot. And I'm always like, whoa, buddy, we got to halt. I was very pleased with this test. He did a very good job. Such a fun horse to ride. For our show jump, I really wasn't quite sure how he'd handle the atmosphere. He can tend to be quite a looky horse, and there's a lot of stuff going on in this show jump ring. And but he gave me such a great feeling when I came in the ring. He was very workmanlike, and we cantered on down to the first fence, and he kind of said, okay. And it felt like he had his big boy pants on. So I was very happy with him. He did slip a little bit. We had gotten a fair amount of rain. And I had studs in, but I probably could have had a little bit bigger stud because he is a bit bigger horse. But he handled it fine. And these lines kind of walked a little forward. and I would land and go, and then go, oh, we covered a lot of ground, now I got to steady. And he's so adjustable. I've really been practicing at home with my grid work and making them go forward and come back and compress, and it really has gotten him a lot stronger. And here I'm able to whoa when I see my distance is tight, and he just sees it and then is quite comfortable in the triple, jumps that no problem. We're coming up to kind of the last 3 jumps on the course, and this was a little bit difficult line because you're going uphill to a vertical, and he rubbed it pretty good. I have to say we got a little lucky there. And then come around to the last fence and settled in, saw it, tried to keep him off the front rail, and he was a super good boy. It was nice to have a nice clean round. And on the cross country, this fence and the water was actually causing quite a lot of problems. Horses were stopping at the reflection on the brush, I think, and Riot peaked pretty hard, but ended up being a good boy and jumping it, and handled the corner quite nicely coming out of the water. He had a really good gallop, and it was a really good course for him to really build his confidence. It had some tough questions, but we ended up jumping clean, and we were inside the time to keep our lead, and he was a very good boy.